I open the door and the silence greets me first. Not peace, not comfort, just silence. This house used to breathe. Now it just waits, every night, for me. There was a time this place was loud, not noisy, but alive. Her laughter used to echo from the kitchen. The TV would be playing something neither of us was really watching, arguments over small things that somehow meant everything. Now the clock ticks louder than my thoughts, and every second feels like it's reminding me of what I lost. I am 70 years old, and I have lived in this house for 31 of them. I know every creak in the floorboards, every draft that slips under the back door in winter, every shadow the streetlight throws across the ceiling when I can't sleep. I know this house the way you know something you've stopped paying attention to, the way familiarity quietly becomes invisibility. But what I did not know, what no one prepares you for, is what a house sounds like when the person who filled it is gone. Not dead, just gone, because she walked out and took the noise with her, and left me standing in rooms that suddenly felt too large for one man and his thoughts. We were married for 42 years. I want you to hold that number for a moment. Not because it's impressive, but because it's long enough that a person stops being a person to you and becomes something closer to the air itself. You don't think about the air, you don't thank it, you don't notice it until it's gone. And your lungs start working harder, and you realize you've been breathing easily for decades without ever once being grateful. That was Margaret to me. That was what I turned her into, without meaning to. The air. I don't say that to excuse what happened. I say it because I think a lot of men my age did the same thing, and most of them won't admit it, not even to themselves. We built our lives around our work, around being capable and dependable, and we told ourselves that providing was the same as loving, that showing up was the same as being there. And for a long time she let me believe that. She kept the house alive, she kept the children connected, she kept the conversation going, even when I was half listening. Even when I came to the table with my mind still somewhere else. She did all of that quietly, and I mistook her quiet for contentment. The first real sign came maybe 15 years before the end, though I didn't see it as a sign then. I saw it as an argument. It was a Sunday morning. We were sitting in the kitchen, and she said it plainly, without drama. I feel lonely. I remember looking at her like she'd said something unreasonable, because I was right there. I said, "How can you be lonely when I'm sitting here?" And I said it without cruelty, but also without understanding. She looked at me in a way I can only describe now, years later, as someone watching a door slowly close. She didn't push further, she just refilled her coffee. And I went back to my newspaper, satisfied the moment had passed, but it hadn't passed. It had settled. Moments like that don't disappear. They accumulate, layer over each other like sediment. Quiet, invisible, until the weight of them becomes something structural, something that changes everything built on top of it. She stopped telling me when she was lonely after that. She stopped bringing me into the small interior rooms of her life. And I, fool that I was, felt relieved. I thought the silence meant peace. I thought she had accepted things the way they were. What she had actually done was stop expecting anything different. The children left, as children do, first our son, then our daughter, and suddenly it was just the two of us. No noise to hide behind, no distractions to keep us facing outward. And when we finally had to look at each other, what we found was distance, years of it, dressed up as routine, wearing the clothes of a normal life. She tried, I'll give her that. She suggested a trip, a second honeymoon of sorts, somewhere warm, somewhere new. I agreed. Without enthusiasm, and she must have felt that, because agreement without enthusiasm is worse than refusal. At least refusal is honest. We went, we were polite, we had pleasant dinners, we watched sunsets. And one evening, I saw her staring at the water with an expression I didn't understand. Instead of asking what she was thinking, I ordered another drink and looked away. She told me she wanted to separate about 2 years after that. She was calm. That was the part that undid me. I expected anger, tears, something I could argue with, but she spoke with the clarity of someone who had been deciding for years. She said she wasn't angry. She said she had loved me, and part of her still did. But she had spent too many years feeling unseen, like something useful, but not truly known. She said she wanted whatever time she had left to feel seen, even if it was by herself. I didn't fight it. By the time I understood what was happening, she was already gone, becoming someone separate from me faster than I could comprehend. And I stood in this house, watching her take her things, realizing I didn't even know which things were hers. After 42 years, I couldn't tell where she ended, and the house began. That first night alone, I sat in the armchair by the window. No television, no phone calls, just silence. I let it come. Let it show me how big it really was. And it was enormous. It was the size of everything I hadn't said, everything I hadn't asked, everything I had assumed. The clock ticked, a car passed, a dog barked somewhere far away, and I thought, this is the sound of a life I built, without understanding what I was building. That was 3 years ago. I still sit in that chair most evenings, not because I'm waiting for her. I know she's not coming back, and part of me knows she made the right choice. Even if I'll spend the rest of my life wishing I had been different enough to make it unnecessary, I sit there because the silence tells the truth. Out here, I can't pretend anymore. What I know now, what I wish I had understood as a young man, is this. Presence is not the same as proximity. You can share a bed for 40 years and never truly arrive. You can sit across from someone every morning of your life and still be somewhere else entirely. And somewhere in that distance, we lost each other. So if you're sitting at a table tonight and she says something small, listen, because that small moment is not small. It's a door. And if you walk through it with her, you might still find something alive on the other side. Because if you don't, one day you'll open your door, and the silence will be waiting for you, just like it waits for me every night.